Hello, people. A little bit slow in here, but it's a very cold Texas day. Here in Texas, it's almost zero. I got my heat on 76, and it's still cold in this damn house. And great installation in here and stuff, but we don't usually get this 76. I'm sorry, 0 degree weather in Texas, but we're having it today. So before I really get into this stuff, I'm going to wait for everything to build up. But hello, people. Hey, unemployed, MobTube, FBS. Thank you, like always, for being here. And the truth, you're the best, dude. I appreciate it. You've been what 6 months with me, and it's greatly appreciated. Uh, right now, we got all of 14 people in here. Now, I'm sure people are going to start rolling in. Alan Therese, another afternoon live. Yes, Elena. I'm sorry, Alana Therese. Um, See, I can't even pronounce names that aren't Italian, Alana. Uh, Thank you for showing up. The Westies, uh, thank you, like always. You're always here. Gazo, what's up? Gazo72. Loyal, Jesse, my man. How you doing? Jesse's the guy, people. Uh, Do Browns is in town. What you doing? Manny Musbeck, what you doing? Maddie Marinera, how you doing? Um, Listen, I appreciate the loyal people that show up in the show every day. Well, let me rephrase that. I haven't been doing a lot of lives, but here's what I'm going to start doing. I think I'm going to do 4 or 5 lives a week, and I'm going to do them around noon my time, 1 o'clock Eastern, and going to discuss current stuff and maybe the previous. I'm going to be doing a lot of interviews that I already have several lined up, and I got people getting a hold of me for me to interview them, and so the list is going to get bigger. Last night I had Bobby Luisi. It had my highest watch time ever. The average watch time, it started off really high, like 42 minutes. It's down to 34 minutes. 34 minutes watch time in YouTube is phenomenal. It's like almost unheard of. So people literally watched that video last night for 34 minutes. That's the average time, which is fantastic. And, right now it's only got about 1,400 views. It will go up the views, probably get to around 2,000. But with the watch time, it equals like a 10,000 video because usually the average watch time in YouTube is about 12 minutes on an interview. Major Lee Awesome, how you doing? I wish you would check your block list, get Harvest. I checked. I do not see Harvester of Sorrow in there. New Beginnings, if you have a chance, could you check to see if they're in there? Don Vito. Oh my God, Don Vito, you actually said something positive to me. Are you feeling okay? Let me get out that thermometer. Check your head. Yeah, Bobby, I'll tell you what, people. Bobby Luisi is a real gangster. I read about that guy's life. One of the most incredible lives I ever read about. I mean, you got to remember that in the early 1990s, his father, brother, uncle, and cousin were and it's another was wounded in a restaurant, and by two guys. They took out guns and they started shooting. And Bobby Luisi lost his father, his brother, his nephew, and I believe his uncle. And the cousin was shot. He lived. He was shot in the stomach. And those two guys there were three guys that did the shooting, but two of them are still in prison. And Bobby was telling me last night they showed up, they didn't have no guns on them when they were at the restaurant, and it cost them their life. Would probably saved a lot of other lives because it was lunchtime and the restaurant was packed. I mean, just the things. If you go check up on Bobby Luisi if you're not sure about him, and read about his life. I'm telling you, it's something out of. That's a guy that deserves a movie about his life. You see them making that guy's life is a lot more exciting than Donnie Brasco's. Let's put it that way. I mean, his life is just a phenomenal life. And the way that he turned it around at the end, because he was a serious gangster. And he was a real gangster. Tommy Siggs, how you doing? Emre Sol, how you doing? Mob Group, what's up, my man? Joe Crotty, how you doing? Okay, so when I was doing the interview last night, I was under the assumption that it would get more views, but it really didn't. And it's probably because I did 2 videos yesterday. And this is why I don't do 2 videos in one day. So a lot of people were watching my live. And my live yesterday is at 2,000 views. And that one's at like 1,500 views. And then, it kind of bothers me. But the fact of the matter is, how many people would love to have 2 videos that are pushing 2,000 views in one day? And it's, but I want to talk about something else too. And this is going to be one of the things, without mentioning names, but I'm going to talk about something. If you have a show and you talk about people's personal life, you're a rat. You're a snitch. And if people go in that chat room and approve of that, they're no better. I literally, for 3 days now, have been listening to a guy talking about my personal life. And most of it's wrong, but he's been talking about where I live, how much rent I pay, whether I ever worked, on and on and on. That's his show. That is a mentally ill man. If you can get on your show and you could talk that way continuously about people, you're a rat. These are the guys that if they were locked up and the cops put them in a chair and started talking to them, they'd be the first people to sing. Does it bother? It does bother me when someone makes accusations toward people and they're lying. And then you got a bunch of clowns listening to him. And a matter of fact, I see a couple people here that are in that chat room listening to this crap. It's like, can you picture me coming on here and talking about a man's personal life? No. Could you guys picture me talking about that scumbag's personal life? I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't speak about his children. I wouldn't speak about anybody. But if you put somebody in your family on the show, then, and they're talking crap about people, they're open, because they're talking crap about people. But when you could, and it's like I said yesterday, you can call me a scumbag and say anything about me, but why would you talk about my personal life? I literally had people call where I live here and try to say things to the manager of the apartment complex. And luckily, she's a hard ass and she just hangs up the phone if anybody does that crap. But this is what they do. This man is mentally ill, people. We had 2 of them. One of them suspended right now. I mean, these people are mentally ill. And that's all you can say about it. People, do I look like I weigh 400 pounds? That was the big thing last night. But here's the thing. Would that person ever say that to another man's face? They would never say it to another man's face. Captain, how you doing? And you know what I mean, Captain. You know who I'm talking about. And Captain has mentioned it many times. Lee, he said, Lee, I can't believe that all this guy does is talk about you. And usually I don't mind if people talk about me because it gets me in the algorithm. But when you create lies, you say that I'm wanted by the law, I have warrants, people are chasing me across the country, I'm leaving Texas because I got to go to Florida because I'm wanted in Texas. I'm sitting in Texas right now. Cops are pretty smart. They could turn on my show. Oh, there he is. We know where he lives. Let's go arrest him. You know? And then I robbed my ex's credit card. I'm sitting here. There's no cuffs on my hand. And people believe it. And you know why? Because what happens is you have a certain group of trolls that come in here and they'll start stories. And this is exactly how the credit card started. And then it spreads. And then you got lowlives, like you know who I'm talking about, and he's a lowlife. There's no other way to describe him. If you deal drugs on a street corner, you're a lowlife. If you drive drunk and get busted more than one time, everybody makes that one mistake with drunk driving. You can get out of a bar and you can have a couple brews in you. Next thing you know, you got a DUI on you. But if you do it over and over, you're a dirtbag. You know? So this is, you know, listening to this crap every day. It's like, dude, do you have anything to talk about besides other people? You know, can you think about something to talk about besides other human beings? Every one of us have some fucked up things in our life. That's just life. And then you got this dirtbags looking for that fucked up thing in life. And then they make it 10 times worse and attack it. And for you people that go into that chat room and listen to that shit every night, fuck you. You know, it's like literally get the hell out of my chat. I don't want you here. If you go to Tony's or that other dirtbag, I don't need you in here at all. At all. But 3 nights in a row now. And he'll be a 4th night tonight. You know why, people? Because he has no content. He pretends to be a mafia guy and he knows stuff about the mafia. Nothing. He knows nothing about the mafia. You know, you can claim you do. And don't get me wrong, book-wise, he may know more than me, but make an attempt to go interview people. Make an attempt to give yourself a good show. And, you know, Jeff Loman. You fucking guys with your names, man. I swear to God. Lee, this kid is living in his wife's basement. The house is legit shack. I told him last night, your show is so bad now that you have to talk about Lee and Jeff for having content. You know what? Another thing, people, look how fast my show's growing over the last month. It's called content. Never once did I buy a sub. And that jealous motherfucker doesn't know how to do a show. He thinks the show is attacking other human beings. Do you think this guy would say anything to Hootie's face? Do you think this guy would say anything? Do you think any of these motherfuckers would say anything to Gene's face? Can you imagine one of these guys walking up to Gene Barillo and talking the shit they talk about him on here? Gene would put him in the fucking ground. Tommy, nothing personal, Tommy, but you are in FBS's chat room and you're listening to the same shit he says every fucking night about me. You don't think that's wrong, Tommy? Okay, they get attention, but they got your attention, Tommy. I'm sorry to be so honest, but come on, you know, what would you do, Tommy? You're a pretty tough guy. What would you do if someone was talking smack about you every night? And, you know, I'm going to do my videos. This is a live. I'm going to say what I want to say on my lives. I have a bunch of interviews lined up. That's what I have to say about that. I just spent 5 minutes on it. But you know what I just did, people? I gave him a show tonight. Now he has a show because he has no material. So, my man, take this stuff. You have a show now. Okay? You can beg for money. And you can talk about me, because that's all you do. Or Jeff to do. Okay, let's move on from there. Let me take some of these things. They say stuff that Could not happen. Let it happen. They lie. You, me, Gene, etc. Exactly. And you know that they would never say it to our faces. They think they would, And I'm a 61-year-old man. Oh, one of his comments last night. Oh, 1 minute he says he's 61, and next minute he says he's 60. Oh my God. Serious, people? Serious? But that's okay. You know what we could watch? We could watch his show, literally leave. It's not going to last much longer because there's nothing on it. All it is attacking human beings and saying horrible things about humans. And that's what we are. We're humans. I got my own place. I live a decent life. I'm happy with my life. And I don't really used to not care. But now when you hear when they're talking about people like about stealing, especially credit card shit, fraud, that's an issue. And Tommy, that's where you and I disagree, Tommy. When someone says that I'm committing fraud and they go on and say it to 200 people, that's an issue. Would you like it, Tommy, if someone was saying about you committing fraud? And I'll drop the link, Tommy. You can come in here. But just put it to the side and forget it. Sometimes you just can't forget it. Knowing you, Tommy, you're a pretty tough guy. You're not going to let someone say that about you. Okay. Listen, I want to talk also about the Art Heist in Boston. There was an Art Heist in 1990 in Boston. Netflix did a great special on it. And Sean, I'll drop the link in a minute. Whoever wants to jump in can jump. Matter of fact, I'm going to drop the link now. Link's there. Whoever wants to jump in. Okay, people, we're at 100 during the day. I like that. Thank you so much. It's appreciated. Hi, Lee. I'm thinking about doing an interview with someone. I am 58, owned a junkyard in Canarsie, Brooklyn, and is one of the twins. I don't know who to talk with. Let me see. I'm going to drop my email in here. I'm dropping my email, Paulie. Why don't you write me something to my email? Tell me something about you, okay? People, there's a lot of interesting people in this genre that come on here that we don't know about. That's why when people say they have stuff to talk about, we should always listen to them, because you'll be surprised some of the people that listen to our shows here, besides the FBI. Hey, Sean, your hair looks good today.
Yeah, I got a haircut.
Let me put this on. I'm sorry. And let me put my big fat mic in front of my face. Okay. So how you doing today, my man?
Good.
Okay, let me get Tommy in here.
All right.
Tommy, how you doing?
Hello, sir. I'm in the conference room, so I might have to talk low and bang out at any moment.
I like those colors, though, my man.
Thank you. Thank you, Lee.
Yeah, Tommy. I don't mean nothing by it, but when you're accused of committing fraud,
yeah,
it's tough. It's a serious accusation, and when they do it over and over again, it becomes even more serious.
I can understand it 100%. I can understand how it gets under your skin. If they're nagging continuous, it's like a toothache, right?
Yeah. And these are the people that talk about rats, but if they're sitting in front of a cop, they'd be the first person to rat.
Oh my God. Yeah. You never know. I try not to get into the drama. Somebody was talking smack about me in FBS's chat a couple nights ago. I just didn't entertain it. I'm fake. I'm this, I'm that. There was a whole bunch of shit. And I
don't mind that stuff. Call me fake. Call me fat. I don't care about that stuff. But when you start talking about where I live,
That's not good.
and why
That's
is that an issue about where anybody lives?
that's crossing the line.
Yeah, and that's what they do it every night.
I can't believe it. So
Every
Lee,
night.
check it out. When you say I'm on those chats, I give it a couple minutes. I've done it with you too. You saw me, Lee. I say, Lee, 2 minutes in, I gotta go. You're not catching my interest, and
Right.
that's okay. And I do the same thing pretty much with everybody. That's just my way.
So let me ask you a question. What did you think of Bobby Luisi?
You know how I feel about the drug thing, Lee. Anybody that's involved in that, it's very, very hard for me. I did not watch it. I will try to catch it. Just something
But
eats at
but
me when I.
but you know something. The reality is, every gangster ever alive for the last
I
100
know,
years has been involved with drugs.
I know, and I know that. But I just sometimes some people may just irk me the wrong way. If you're in that wholeheartedly and that's all that you're in for, that that kind of gets me a little bit. I know it's deeply involved, and you cannot deny it. Nobody can.
But
If they deny it, they're ignorant, right?
and the reality is, Tommy, the Gambinos were the worst drug addict dealers ever. Out of all the gangs, they were the worst.
Yeah, I got to tell you this in another respect of it. Being American Italian or Italian American, whatever you might call my you know nationality, whatever it might be. It bothers me because I do believe that in the beginning, the Italians did bring that stuff into this country. I do believe that
It started in
they
the
were
20s.
instrumental.
Started in the 20s.
So it bothers me. It bothers.
Maranzano and
Yeah.
those guys, they all were involved in it. It was just a different drug back then. But that's big money. That's what these
Yes.
guys do. They have no respect for life. Why would they have any respect for humans?
I know.
I
I
mean,
know.
people just,
It's a tough thing. So for me, it's a tough thing. But of course, I will watch.
Okay, I'm talking about the life the guy lived for the simple reason he's involved in that war up in Boston, that
Yeah. Yeah.
patriarch war, which you know about. I mean,
Yeah.
that was like the Gambino War of the 90s. People were
Wow.
literally dying in the streets every day, and it was a horrible war. And the fact that the man's father and brother and whole family was wiped out while eating lunch,
It's rough.
and people don't realize his father was kind of a Hollywood guy, and he had a brother that got accused of murder, a double homicide out in California, and beat the charges.
Wow.
It was a Hollywood murder.
Crazy.
But I mean, these guys were like real gangsters. And on
Yeah.
top of that, I didn't even know it. I started talking about the Art Heist last night, and it was the patriarch family and Angelos that were involved in that.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yes.
I mean, and to this day, they haven't found no art.
Nope. They have
500,
not.
$500 million.
Is that that's the take on that?
500. It was the largest art. I got a little clip I'm going to play in a little bit, but $500 million.
Oh my God.
And you know what? And you know who was guarding the place? It was one guard behind and the two guys dressed up as cops. If you want to, Tommy, if you want to find out about it, Netflix did a great special on it.
Did they?
I just watched it.
All right.
Just put in Boston Art Heist.
Okay.
And it's like a 4-part series.
I'll check it out.
It's phenomenal. And they know the gangsters that did it and stuff, but they got rid of the art right away.
Yeah.
And I know Bobby Luisi's family was involved in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And friends around him were involved in it.
That's big stuff, man.
So it's still an open crime.
That's crazy. How many years ago was that?
1990.
Wow.
And they went in. They knew exactly what they wanted to take, but they knew they weren't an art enthusiast because they took 2 Rembrandts and cut them out of the frame. Nobody would.
That's crazy. So nobody with all the guys that went bad from 90 to now, nobody came clean on that.
No, nobody. Yeah, it's one of those things. It sounds like to me that they sold that art to some sheik. Who can hide it because you can never unload it in the United States or Canada.
Yeah, but you still would think that somebody would come out with that. That's blockbuster news. You know what I mean?
The one guy that was really involved with it just died. They knew that he was involved in it. He was a mobster. He was up in Boston. I can't think of his name right now, but he just passed away.
Okay.
And he was one of the main guys and the guy that ran the family, but he got murdered. So that guy got killed.
Wow.
So it's just, and then one guy that was tied up in the basement, he was probably involved, but
that's crazy.
It's just fascinating stuff.
So that was all in the movie? All of this was captured in the movie?
It's a documentary and it's very accurate, but it's
all right. That sounds interesting.
They give a list of people that could have done it. They know the mob was involved.
Really?
It was definitely
that sounds interesting. I'm going to check it out. Okay, Lee, I got to get back to work, but just to give you a heads up, I'm in everybody's chat. I don't have any beefs with anybody that I know of. You know what I mean? And I would never disrespect anybody in the chat. So when I see that going on, whether it's you doing it, somebody else doing it, that guy doing it, I kind of bang out. I kind of try to stay away from the drama if I can. You know what I mean?
Well, Tommy, I won't talk about anybody's personal life.
Of course you wouldn't.
No, it's just.
It's not a good look, man. It's not a good look. You're grabbing at straws at that point.
Yeah. Well, you have a nice one, Tommy. You take care.
All right, guys.
Okay,
see you. Bye.
Have a good one.
Okay, Sean.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about an art heist like that?
Oh, I think it's put up somewhere.
Yeah. Let me. I'm gonna play something. You could. I'm not gonna keep it on long. I just want you to hear this.
If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave comments. At 1:24 March 18th, 1990, Rick Abath, a night watchman at the museum, was standing behind the front desk when he heard a buzzer from outside the front door. When he looked at the monitor, he saw 2 police officers standing at the front door. He claimed that they had badges, they had uniforms, they looked completely like Boston Police Department, so he buzzed them in. The officers came in, they came to Abath, they told him to come out from behind the front desk. This was so he didn't signal the alarm. They asked him if there were any other guards in the facility, and they said that they were there because of a reported disturbance at the museum. Mr. Abath said that there was another guard on duty, and he called him to the front. When both guards were at the front, the robbers handcuffed them and duct taped them. Over the next 81
people, check out that guy's hair, dude. That's a man. I mean, that is a nice head of hair right there.
minutes, the robbers carefully traversed the museum, stealing 13 pieces of art that they carefully, deliberately chose. They even passed up more valuable works of art to steal these specific 13 pieces. 2 of the Rembrandt drawings that they stole, they actually cut from the frame, indicating that they weren't art enthusiasts and that they probably didn't know a whole lot about the art that they were stealing, and also indicating that they were probably commissioned to go in and steal the art. The next morning, the FBI showed up and came in and conducted their investigation. They found absolutely no signs left by the robbers. There was nothing there except motion detectors that indicated their movement throughout the museum. This is important later on. The museum offered a $1 million reward for any information leading to recovery of the art and apprehension of the thieves. No leads were received. At this point, the FBI was involved and they investigated everyone that had to do with the museum at all. Obviously, directly after the robbery, the main suspect was Rick Abath, the night watchman. This is for several reasons. The most obvious is that he let the thieves in. He actually hit the buzzer, opened the door, let the thieves into the museum. One other reason is that night, during his rounds, while he was walking the halls, checking everything out, he actually opened a side door and then closed it very quickly. This is known from sensors on the door. During the investigation, the FBI asked Abath about this, and he claimed that he did that every night. However, his supervisors indicated that if he had done that every night, they would have known it because they would have seen the sensors and that he hadn't done that before. The motion sensors also detected throughout the night and stored information related to the...
Okay, people, I just wanted to play that a little bit, but just to give you an idea about that robbery. So it turned out that they had lousy security in it. So this is a museum with some of the most expensive art in the world. These fake cops literally walked in. There was only one security guard. I mean, really? This is a museum, and they had motion detectors that were like everything in the place was out of date. They just took it for granted, the security system. And that's how they robbed the place.
Uh,
Okay, once again, I'm going to drop that. I'm going to drop the link, people. Anybody want to jump in, feel free. So what do you think about that? Does that sound like an inside job right there?
oh yeah, perfect.
And the fact that they never found not even one piece of art.
Yeah, it would be
Ever.
kind of hard to move that stuff, you know. So I think it's kept up. I think it's just put up.
Yeah. Oh, the name of simping ain't easy. Said the name of it is "This Is a Robbery." That's the name of it on Netflix if you want to watch it. It's
This
like
is the robbery.
and it's a 4-part series. Very entertaining. I loved it. And I'm not usually like give a shit about art museum heist, but the mob was definitely involved in this. And last night when I was talking to Bobby Luisi, he said that from what he heard that they put the art underground and built the vault, and if they did that, that's going to destroy some of those Rembrandts because
The moisture.
because they're so sensitive, you know. So, guys, let me see some of the stuff you have to say here. My brother did a murder. His brother did murder 2 people in Hollywood. Roman Luisi, he pleaded self-defense and was found not guilty. Yes, John, thank you. That's what I love about you guys. So full of information. Bobby Luisi says he's wrong with dealing with drugs, lost a daughter to a drug overdose a few years ago. Yep, and I didn't talk about that last night with him because that's very personal. And, you know,
I'm
that's why
like this. I'm like this. God forgave us for our sins. We could forgive him. You know what I mean? The man
Yeah.
paid in spades.
you know, if people make mistakes, and we all make mistakes,
Exactly.
it's just that some people make worse mistakes than others.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but did it on the streets, this guy was a real deal. He was like, he made John A. Light look like he would have been Bobby Luisi's coffee boy. I mean, there's no doubt. Or most of these guys. Okay. Let's bring up JC. JC, how you doing, my man?
Good. Hey, if those other guys end up saying that I'm at my mom's house today, they would be right. So today I'm actually, it's funny. I've been accused of living at home for so many months now, but, this is actually the first time I am over here at my mom's handling something for her. So
are you sleeping on that?
Always wondered, here you go.
Are you sleeping on that couch?
No, I'm sleeping on the cute little truffle, whatever these fluffy pillow things are that the ladies like, whatever that is, So my mom likes me. She doesn't make me broadcast from a car.
How old is your mother?
My mom's actually like 72, 73. She's getting up there.
How's her health?
Pretty good. She's trucking along. She lives in a little apartment complex with her friends from her church and all that. And so, they go do their thing, and they're she's having a good twilight.
Yep. Okay. Sean.
Yeah.
You work today?
Day off.
2 days off, dude.
Yeah.
Who do you know?
Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Oh, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, man.
Tomorrow's my Monday.
I was a restaurant man for years, and I always tried to get Monday and Sunday off. I used to love watching football on Sunday and recuperating on Monday. Those are my 2 favorite days. And in the restaurant industry, there's only certain days they'll give you off. And don't ever ask for a Friday or Saturday off. No way.
So my college friends and I would make our schedules based on what the bar schedule was in the area. So like they had a really live Tuesday night in Old Town Clovis, this nice part of Central Cali. So we'd make sure that we didn't have Wednesday morning classes because you only can have so many semesters where you drop classes from drinking and partying too much before you figure out don't put the class in the way of your partying schedule. God forbid they do that.
Hey, Sydney, Australia, how you doing, my man? Matt Collier is from Sydney, Australia, and
Hey, Matt's a good guy. He likes my stuff, yours, hoodies and jeans. He's consistent. Good to see you, Matt.
well, we can't say it, but that thing that people get sick from, we'll call it the thing that people get sick from. Australia's finally figured it out, and I believe that every country should do this. They just said, let it happen and let it die out instead of like making all these rules and regulations and stuff. So let's hope that's what happens now. And they should do that everywhere. If they did that 2 years ago, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in right now.
Yeah, really, that's true. The reaction to it has been much worse than the thing itself. And it's unfortunate that there's still a few people out there, and they seem to be in power in some areas, who don't get it. Whereas like 80% of the public is now on the side of let's live.
And God bless the truckers up in Canada. And, you know, now everybody's honking up there. So, you know, let's have a honking world. Jason T says, psychological consequences on society, pornography. Well, when you talk about pornography, the internet made it so easy. I remember when I was young, you had to go down to Manhattan and you had to look for a place to go watch porn. You know, or if one of your friends had that videotape, it was like, wow, he has a videotape porn. Now it's like all you got to do is turn on your phone.
Yeah,
You know?
Jason's right. In fact, the Israelis actually used that with the Palestinians when they couldn't do any more violent stuff back and forth. The Israeli government took over their TVs for a few days and put nothing but porn on there, and it broke their population. They were like, they didn't ever want to see that again. So a lot of them agreed. They submitted. It worked. It's psychological war. It can happen.
Okay. Chicago Muscle. Lee, let's see the side of Frank Gotti's issue you have with Angel Gotti. What did you say exactly? I presented it not as gentle as I should have. And the main reason being it was live. You don't talk, you know, and that's one of the things about when you do lives. You never know what you can say and you can't take it back. So that's why
I agree. I agree with you. I could tell when I first saw it that Lee was talking extemporaneous. It wasn't something he pre-planned to say. And then once he realized that he misspoke, if you guys will recall, Lee did a show where he said he misspoke and he apologized.
I apologize.
You know, and people got to understand when they do these shows, it could be a guy like Lee who makes it look easy, or it could be Gene or me or Hootie or anybody else. We're going to make some mistakes. You know, it happens.
Captain says, Captain, one thing I will tell you, I will never tell anybody they should unsubscribe. I think Tommy's a good guy. But, you know, I hope you didn't get that from me. Okay. So what do you think? I'm thinking about doing a show during the week, right around 12 or 1 o'clock, and come out for an hour and a half and just bullshit and talk about things. And then I'm going to I got a bunch of interviews lined up. So Sean, what do you think about something like that?
That'd be great. Having enough energy to do it, you know, to
Well, during the day, yeah. And you know what it is too? I used to not coming on during the day because Tony was around.
Right.
I was going to bring that up, that there's now a void in the market, if you will, not only from the whole drama thing that people don't want to be a part of anymore or watching, but there's also a void from one or two of these guys not blabbing on the internet all day because they have nothing better to do, which means that people like your shows. And I've been in the position where I'm like, I want to watch Lee's show. And but Pizza's going to come on and say something outrageously crazy. So I'm like, let me see what this guy says, you know.
Or he'll play your show while you're talking.
Right, exactly. So,
you know, low level stuff.
But I think he has legit been suspended because I don't see him keeping his mouth shut for 5-6 days like this.
Okay, Chicago Muscle says that's very old new. Lee apologized and took the video. Yes, I did. The video
Yeah.
is down, and I did apologize. I can't do no more than that because a lot of people said a lot of stuff about me that they won't take down.
Yeah, and you know what else too? Lee didn't really dive in and do something that drastic. It was a little bit on the insensitive side, but it wasn't the kind of character attacks that I get or Lee gets or our other friends get. And also, look, Lee took care of the issue. And then also another point with them is that they tend to take things way out of context. That whole group of people there. And obviously, unfortunately, she's one of them. She takes things out of context.
And you know the things that some of these people have said about my brother. It's like, really, And here's the fact of the matter: he was a young kid. He was an innocent kid that got killed and got hit by a car. Horrible things. That's what I should have said and kept it at that.
Right.
But sometimes you try to be too intelligent and expand on it.
Right, exactly. Sometimes the details, are subject to interpretation as well. And if someone hears you saying what you believe happened and they're interpreting it like it's something completely different.
And then I thought to myself, it's a horrible tragedy. You got a young boy that just died in front of his house, and it's just a horrible thing. If I could do it all over again, I wouldn't have even made the video.
Right, exactly.
I would have made the video about John Favre without talking about the boy.
Yeah.
About the young Frank. That's what I should have done. I shouldn't have mentioned his name. Shouldn't have done any of that. Because whether, people here have lost people that are young. And when someone's 12 years old, they're innocent. And, when we're 12 years old, think about the shit that we used to do that could have got us killed. Climbing up a certain mountain or hanging from a tree upside down. I mean,
ding dong ditch.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Ding dong ditch.
Or swimming in a lake and you're halfway through the lake and you're like, am I going to make it back to the other side?
Going to the local Big Five and having an adult buy us our first BB gun.
BB gun. Okay, let's see. Chicago Muscle, listen, don't come in here with your I was and ear stuff. You're starting shit now. So, you guys are pretty, I'm pretty lucky because I have a good chat room. There's not a lot of stuff, going on in here. And I don't see you guys in other chat rooms attacking people. And that's the number one thing. You shouldn't do that. Don't be like those lowlives. Just. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Lee, the good thing is that you were smart enough to put in actual mob genre content this whole time. You would wait a few days and address some of the nonsense these clowns would say, but then you'd go back to doing the shows while these other guys are not just fighting with you, but they're fighting with others. And now they're paying the piper for it. They don't know who they are anymore.
Okay. I'd like to welcome Shane McBride. He's been very active. He's a new member. And Shane, I'm sorry. See, I even mess up English names. One of my fellow countrymen. Okay, Shane is that McBird? I guess it's McBird or McBride. That's an unusual
McBride.
McBride? Okay, Shane McBride. Lee, I'm digging your brand, man. Love the crazy cast of characters. Yes. If I let JC on here, it can't get crazier than that.
True.
And then you got some Sean he'll show up with the hippie girlfriend, the bad hairdo from a cabin in the mountains of California.
Sean and I are, and maybe Cali G's, we're the only guys in California that are halfway sane.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you notice, he and I both live in nicer communities, or like I'm 30 miles from the mountains, he's on the mountain. That's to let you know what we think of our fellow Californians when we're wanting to live in the hills.
Yeah, run for the hills.
Cali G sent me a text yesterday, and he was busting my chops about hookers in California and San Francisco. And I said to him, I bet you remember those old. Remember the bathhouses in San Francisco?
Oh gosh, yeah.
And yeah, and he said, "No, man,
Yeah.
I'm not old enough. You're old enough for the bathhouses."
Well, yeah. Whenever a guy from San Francisco tries to diss people, he has to be real careful what he says because there's so many things from his city that that just easy targets will say.
And those
Was
and
once a beautiful city, man. It's a shame what's going on there, man.
all those cities
Where are you
in
from?
California.
Well, I was born in Glendale, California, and then when I was 15, I moved to Hemet, California, and then I migrated from down the hill up the hill. So, San Fernando Valley.
Are you Armenian? Are you
No,
Armenian?
actually, no, no.
I had to
No,
ask
no.
because it's Glendale's like our little Armenia, California. So I had to ask.
Yeah, beautiful women there, though.
Oh
Hey,
yeah,
look
a
at
lot
Jeff-
of Kim
Jeff-
Kardashians.
Ew. You mean women with giant vaginas?
No.
Well, no. The more women that look similar but don't act that
Let
way.
me tell you something. I would take a wholesome, beautiful woman from Wisconsin over any chick from LA.
Well, half the chicks in LA weren't chicks even 5 years ago. So
No.
yeah.
Well, you know what it is though. I don't like my women being too like 100% feminine. They got to have like a little. I know that may not sound right, but one woman I lived with, well, for 10 years, it would take her 2 hours in the morning to put her makeup on. She would She would work at 8 o'clock. She would get up 5 o'clock in the morning, and she's a beautiful woman, but she would take 2 hours putting her makeup on. And
you know what? There's
day,
so many women
7
with
days a
issues
week.
out here. So many women with issues out here that, yeah, they take 2-3 hours. It's like they're getting ready for an audition to be in an A-list movie. That's how so many of them act, and it's a mentality.
And they're beautiful already, Jeff.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. It's like in New York, the girls aspire to be, on Broadway. In Vegas, they want to be showgirls. In Cali, they want to be actresses. And no matter what, they all have these emotional issues about their looks. Not all of them, but a lot of them, obviously.
I was living in St. Augustine, California, in Florida, and I met this woman up in Wisconsin. So we got into a relationship. And I went up to Wisconsin for the first time, and I'm looking around, and I'm looking at all the beautiful women. And they were like, most of the women up there, beautiful, real blonde hair, blue eyes, and just very wholesome, different type of woman. And, from the Midwest going to New York, or, the women in New York and California, but when you go like to Wisconsin and those areas, it's a whole different type of woman. I mean, that's just my opinion.
It's similar. I know what you mean, because it's similar with the interior of California. When you get away from LA and the coast, and you get into the valley, or away from the Bay Area into the valley, you start to see sort of the Iowa of California. Yeah. Keep in mind, there's a red state the size of Ohio inside California. If California was split off between red and blue, you'd have 20 electoral votes going to a solid Republican every time. So there's a lot of conservative people here still, libertarian-ish as well. But they're just massively outvoted by leftists from middle class and upper class areas on the coast, combined with new people coming in from Mexico and further south that are busy working so much they don't have time to pay attention to politics. So they just vote for Democrat because they think the word democracy in America is synonymous. It's almost that simple, But in our interior, we get we have most of the women here are more down to earth. I'm sure he experiences it in the mountains there. The mountain chicks of Cali are pretty nice too.
Is that what you got, Sean? A mountain chick?
No, we moved up here to get. No, we moved up here together.
He got a girl wanting to flee to the mountains with him. Good.
No, she She was we started this journey up here together. I mean, it hasn't been easy. I mean, it's a little bit different. You got to stock up and make sure that you're prepared for fire, for
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
a disaster.
but you know what, Sean? If one of those ultra rays hit from the sun and knock everything out, at least you're somewhere that you want to be.
Yeah, no, that's the
Yeah,
thing. I mean, the
yeah,
cars won't be able to drive.
yeah. I mean, I'm in the part of Texas where I'm around nothing but ranches, and and just so you know, guys, I talked to the owner of the 6666 Ranch, and I'm going up there this weekend, and I'm going to be shooting a video of that beautiful ranch.
That's great.
And I cannot wait. And the ranch has got ranch houses on it. Well, it's in Yellowstone, and they talked a lot about it this year, the ranch. But exactly what they're describing in Yellowstone is and it's only 2 miles from my house. But I always wanted to go up there. So what I did, I called them up and asked them if I'd come film it. They said no. And then I told them I had a podcast. So they asked me the name of my podcast. They checked it. They called me back and said, okay, you can come up and film it.
Yeah,
that's where having
shows with the drama-free zone that you're going into here and have been transitioning, it pays off. Legit people in this world will come on these shows, if they see that. And this part of Cali where I'm from is similar to what you're describing. If I go just to the east of me, I'm in the countryside itself, and then into the hills. And when all this stuff gets a little too crazy, Lee, obviously, where he is at, where you're at, where I'm at are going to be much safer places. And
okay,
it's a sign of people that are planning things out and understand where they're going to go. Just like with the podcast, where you're going with things, Lee, and you're going to see more and more success, as well me and Gene and others once he starts going again, and Hootie continually. It's all great positive stuff, Lee. The whole direction that you, your friends, all of us are, and we're all going,
Butchie Bifocals, thank you for the $2. But he says, Lee, your thoughts on Nadu passing that guy in subs? I think it's a fantastic thing, and I think that everybody should pass that guy in subs so he can be weaned.
Salute to Jeff Nadu. Good, Jeff is one of the hardest working guys in this business, and he also persevered. He could see the drama was happening a few months back. He got caught up in a little bit of it, just like I did a little bit, but he caught on pretty quick and chilled out. And
something Jeff said to me, Jeff said to me that he has taken so much abuse over the years with the name calling and people starting channels and based on going after him. So he's been through a lot. And, I know I've been through a lot. And if you stay in there and hang in there, and this other guy that has the drama station channel, it's not too late for him, but he's just not smart enough to stop doing what he's doing.
I like that. The other guy.
Yeah, that's what
I like that.
Yeah. Don't mention the initials or the name, and that way,
right,
you're able to address the issues without putting the name into the algorithm for them.
The format of the content, I rewatched the other guy's video. It was just mind-boggling. It was like what we talked about. He got content. The other guy, he got content for somebody else to talk about. It was weird.
Yeah, exactly. And he does just what Lee said the other day. And I said on his show a week or two ago about how he lets his chat direct him. He still repeats that I have, quote unquote, 2 domestic violence convictions. I have 0 domestic violence convictions. But he repeats that because
they were get it straight. They were homicides. They weren't domestic violence.
Yeah, okay? No doubt. I'm an escapee from San Quentin, guys. So, luckily I'm in an undisclosed location at my mom's house.
And that channel over there has been saying that, the law's looking for me, the cops are looking for me,
Stuff that's so absurd that it shouldn't be believed by anybody.
But I'll give you an example. A couple days ago, the minute he turned on his channel, the first thing a clown said in there, the first thing that they said was, they said, well, Angel was in there. They said to Angel, "Oh, Lee was talking about your family today."
Oh wow.
And I'm like, "What? I don't remember talking about your family today." So right away, she thought I was talking about her family.
You know what? I watched that, and that was, I don't watch your show much, but I actually had turned on my tablet at the time, and I saw what happened. It looked like Angel asked about it or said something, and then FBS turned it back to the chat saying, well, what was it, guys? But he was ready to run with whatever slander he could have gotten away with, but Angel happened to be there asking what happened. And did you notice that, Lee, that he put it back on the chat?
Yep. You messed up. You said his initials, the other guy.
Sorry about that.
I love that in the do pass the fat junkie. I like that. The fat junkie. It's the other guy or the fat junkie. That's good. That's fat junkie could be a candy bar.
He brought on his old school sidekick too yesterday. They didn't top 130 live views, which is lousy for that show. His show had been getting much more than that with the drama. Now he's discovering without drama or with minimal drama, your numbers go back to where they should have been.
People get tired, but people are getting tired of the drama.
Yeah, his numbers are
really
going to drop, and those cash apps are going diminishing too. He'll get some, and he'll get a few super chats, but you can see it already. It's just a matter of time before he's in has a dormant channel with a decent amount of subs.
And the truth gets attacked all the time because he's one of my supporters all the time. And I appreciate that, D-Truth. And
D-Truth is solid. Yes.
He's been on with this show from the very beginning. I mean, there's been a few guys like that, and Jeff and Sean, you guys have been from the beginning. Well, we had a little scrape in the beginning, before I got to know you. You got it, not you, Sean. You got a different type of JC. You got a different type of personality.
I agree with you there. I definitely do.
But you're a smart man, and I have no issues with you.
No, I you know what? There was a moment where nearly all of them were on one area, and they're thinking they're going to close in and eliminate you for good. And one of them approached me about it, and I was like, hell no. Even if I didn't like the guy, I still don't believe what you're doing is fair. Even if I didn't like him, I still would not accept it on the grounds that what you're doing is below the belt.
Chicago Muscle is kind of bragging, so I got to put him down. Chicago Muscles, you've been married 30 years? Dude, I've been married 30 years. Okay, granted, it was 3 wives, but I was married 30 years too.
Hey.
Okay, okay.
I like what you did there.
Okay, Chicago Muscle Correction, you're just, come on, guys. You're just another, come on. No matter what, when it comes to the Gottis, they are part of Mafia history. Big time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you like them or dislike them. I mean, and what John Gotti did, come on, John Gotti went to prison, wouldn't take a fucking aspirin. There's not many, they're gangsters, people. They're not.
No, you're right. I have a friend here who interviewed the late Congressman James Traficant, the Democrat who was sent away. He was there with Gotti and Gotti Jr. for a while, and he was one of the ones that told them.
They put that guy in Traficante and maximum security?
Traficante was look. They thought he was tied to the Youngstown mob, the Cosa Nostra group there. Yeah, I'll have my friend talk to you behind the scenes sometime. He knew Traficant fairly well, but yeah, Traficant was sentenced and put in the hardcore setup there. They wanted him to die in prison, and he told the judge, "I will live through this sentence. You mark my words." He got out, and he died shortly thereafter in a weird tractor accident, if you know what I mean. But he was a Democrat who could not stand the Clintons. He was one of their biggest enemies in the 90s when the rest of their party was going in line. and a lot of other stuff. But yeah, they put him in there with the crazy, with the crazies and the big timers. And he was one of the ones that told them, don't take any meds that the Bureau of Prisons hands out, because I know for a fact it's mostly experimental drugs and a lot of other.
Don't be talking about that stuff.
Yeah, I didn't go into any zone there.
Yeah. No.
I'm
Yeah,
just
we don't
telling
like
you
no conspiracies on here.
Right.
Right.
He was a member of Congress.
No, I'm only saying that because that's when YouTube shuts you down.
No, absolutely. No, I get you. That's why I kept it as vague as possible.
Shane McBride. I'm going to tell you something, Shane. This is kind of a story. I did my sister for Christmas did that DNA test for me, and I got my results back, and it came back 70% Scottish. So I'm thinking I'm Irish because of my name, McCool. That's with my part of my family, my mother's family. But it comes back 70% Scottish. I'm like, I never knew I was Scottish.
No wonder you and I have a lot of similarities and a few of the Mel Gibson or whatever style attitude, the Braveheart attitude.
He's Aussie.
Yeah, but he's also, that's true. That changes it a bit. We're American Scots. He's an Aussie Scot. So,
Okay. Will Yosemite Bill break $500,000? Yeah, I think he will.
Michael Franzese has. I don't see why Sammy won't.
Well, Michael Franzese has, because a lot of those come from the church. A lot of those he had already from the church. So it was easier for him.
Sure.
Dominic Volpe. Hey, Muscle, do you get wood watching this show? I sure do for some reason. Dominic, if you get wood watching this show, man, you got problems. Oh, imagine Dominic's there, man, I can't get hard today. And then he says, oh, Lee's got a show. He goes, Lee's got a show coming on. And he gets naked. He just sits there like this and waits for it to come on. I just gave you guys a horrible thought in your head.
Yeah, I know. Thanks a lot, Lee.
Hey, but that's why I love people, man, because some of the stuff that you guys say is so funny, man.
This guy loves people too, it looks like.
You make attacks multiply when you act like a dumbass. The turd bird. Okay. Oh, Dominic Volpe, weird shtick. Yeah, that was really a weird shtick. I just made it a little bit weirder by describing it, I think. I apologize for that. But I know now Jeff's going to watch his show over and over. Okay, screenshots and chats and texts to his. Okay, I never made a crack about it. Sorry, that's not a mistake. That's a fucking low-life move, and you all are low-lives for making excuses about it. I don't know what you mean. Okay.
Somebody's angry. Man, my goodness.
Chicago Muscle's not angry. He's more honest than angry because you know what? I noticed that when he's in FBS's room, he's one of the few FBS people I will let in there. He's pretty tough on FBS too. So he could,
Yeah, but he's mischaracterizing. You didn't make a crack at a dead kid, and you certainly didn't mean to disrespect him. So that's disingenuous.
Yeah, I'm not going to even talk about it. All they got to do is watch the video to know. But
there you go.
Lee, I lived in LA for 15 years. You're crazy. Yeah, I am definitely crazy. Dominic Volpe, I see that you're doing this all the time. Yesterday, you were aroused by the show. The truth, I don't know what the hell it is. Is it like my Yankee hat? That's why I keep my neck covered today from the hickeys. It's today. I'm in Texas and it's almost 0 here today.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and it's cold. When my dogs go out and turn around and come back in, I know it's cold.
Yeah, that's an issue.
We got 118 here, midday people. Thank you so much.
Did you see what Matt Collier's comment? He said he enjoys it when I'm on with you here. Yeah, because we have a good chemistry. That's Matt Collier's a good guy.
I love I'll tell you what, people. I love my chat room because the people here. Then new people have been showing up lately, and they've been great. And I don't come in here to get 200-300 people. If I want to do that, I'll go on 8 o'clock at night. I love coming here in midday like this. It gives people a show.
Yeah,
it's not like Yeah,
Question, bro.
and it's not a Tony show. He comes in. To me, if you're like smoking a cigarette, hanging out in a car, and fucking chicken hanging off your fucking lip, and you know, have you guys ever seen? Remember when Tony used to eat? I mean, in the
Oh
car.
yeah.
I mean, if you want to gag, watch Tony eat.
Yeah, especially when he takes a number 2 and doesn't wash up, and then he goes and eats on camera. That's really special, you know.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
can only be so lucky, right?
And a matter of fact, the other guy is now standing up for him because
Yeah.
he says the only reason Lee attacks Tony is because Tony's not on here no more. Excuse me. I made a video of me in my car driving around pretending to be Tony while Tony was on. It is you, dude, the other guy. It is the other guy that made a treaty with Tony because Tony was kicking the shit out of him. Okay, let's get that right. Okay, most of them end up in porn movie instead. Is that true? Have either one of you guys ever been in a porn movie?
No.
No. Okay.
But
not that I'm aware of.
No, my grandfather, he was the first non-union casting director in Hollywood. He did Rocky 1 and Rocky 2. He hired all the background people for those movies. But a lot of girls that would go to Hollywood, they their hopes get let up, they think they're going to be a big movie star. So they say, let's go to this modeling audition, and then it turns into something else, and then they get cast, and you know what I mean? That's how it works. I mean, and this was when I was a kid, I used to see it, I used to go to his office, but yeah.
Hey, Chicago.
Yeah.
Now hold up, Chicago. Now you're talking out your ass, man. I explained it to you. Okay. No one came on here bashing a little boy. If you're going to keep that shit up, maybe you are in the wrong chat room. Okay.
Yeah, no doubt.
So,
Sullivan's right. In fact, when I was doing my weed stuff, I was on the Greyhound bus a lot, and I would be coming into California after doing a trip, and I would see women from, Little Rock, from parts of Louisiana, parts of the Midwest, all on the bus. I'd meet them, and there's 90% of them are like, I'm going to California and Hollywood so I can pursue my dream to be an actress. And I'm like, you're going to end up on a casting couch in a 3-way in about 2 weeks.
Okay, wait a minute. I want to ask a Chicago a question. Chicago Muscle a question. How about an innocent man that got killed that had 2 children and worked hard every day of his life in a furniture factory? Does that count? Rest in peace, John Favre.
Yeah, they act like Favara was another mobster or something. No, or that he committed a cardinal sin. No, he ran a kid over, which happens all the time, unfortunately. Wasn't under the influence or anything like that. So these people got to stop talking about that man like he's some other mobster who just happened to disappear. Not like that. No.
And you never hear anybody from that side say anything like apologetic about it.
Yes.
They actually think it's okay.
Yes.
There was a show on TV where Junior spoke about it and actually said, and once again, I'm speaking about this because it's public.
Yes.
Okay. But he actually said he didn't act too upset about it. Hold on one second.
And that's true. And if you notice,
I'm doing a show right now.
We'll see it with these people that whenever something is aimed at them, they take great offense to it, and they lash out. But the moment that when they're going at other people and they realize, oh, there was a mistake, a lot of times they're not correcting it at all. So,
hey, Shane McBride,
that's what we're dealing with.
Shane McBride, you live in New Orleans. Do you know John Wolf?
I knew it. I saw that. I thought that. Do you happen to be,
no, I don't think
his friend? Or
no, I don't think he is. But no, I don't think he is. But if you know John Wolf Wolf's easy to see. He drives around in the big truck. He's your typical Southern boy, if you know what I mean. and you know, and he has those teeth that are like the size of chiclets. I'm kind of jealous. So, you know,
Yeah,
okay,
he
Chicago,
could
they
have.
talked about not only did they talk about my dead brother, they said horrible things about him. Horrible. My dead brother, who was a beautiful father to 3 beautiful daughters, and they were 1/10 the man that he would ever be, that they couldn't even compare themselves to him. Yeah, Chicago Muscle don't answer. Okay, I don't want to talk about that anymore. Okay, Grant, Chicago, I ain't interested. Again, Chicago, everybody's Chicago, man. You're really starting some. You got a conversation going out there. Hey, Lee, JCFBF loves Bangalore Road, Thailand for the
Yeah.
Trinities. They remind them of. Oh, dude, no,
Oh,
I'm not gonna say
Matt,
that.
come on, buddy. Matt, we don't want to go there with it. That's not us. But we like you still, okay?
I'll be totally honest. I think she's a good woman. I'll be totally honest. She's works her ass off, and she puts up with it with him, the other guy. So
Yeah.
there's got to be
Did
something
you
about
see
her.
Did you see his pictures of the drug program he was at? The place looks like the kind of place that rich people out here go to in Malibu or something, you know. And he was talking, by the way, months ago about how hard time he did. Dude, I did a program, quote unquote, here in Cali for 90 days. It was not the Betty Ford Center, that I can assure you. Where he
Passages
was at,
Malibu.
yeah, bro, that's not exactly Passages. I didn't go to Passages. You know where that is.
Okay, listen,
Yeah.
I can admit to something to you guys, and this is the truth. I was in a rehab one time for 30 days. I was wanted by the law.
Yeah, well, that's exactly.
But let me
that's
finish.
why-
Let me finish.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
was wanted by the law. I have no drinking or drug problems, but I went in there and I pretended I had an issue, and I hid away at this place for 28 days. It was in Pueblo, Colorado, and it worked. You know, it was the 28 days I needed for things to cool down. It's not one of my proudest moments, but you know,
Well, see, that's what they did here too. My lawyer told me in that case, hey, look, they want time out of you. You can either sit in the county jail and hope that they release you early because of overcrowding, or you could chill, you know, in the equivalent of a level 2 drug program in Cali. I was like, well, that's not.
But you were a druggie.
Me.
Yeah,
I'll be straightforward. After my accident in 2002, I ended up going from Norcos up to the OxyContin 80s. And that's not a joke, and that's a real thing. And I blew a good amount of the money I made with the mob going right back into the system by buying those things, you know, in the mid-2000s.
Jeff, what I mean is if you smoke marijuana every day, you're an addict.
Well, I you know what? That's another thing. I'll go with you partly on that. A lot of weed guys like to pretend like it's not a drug.
It's a gateway drug. There's total evidence it's a gateway drug.
Well, it oftentimes alcohol and marijuana are pretty closely aligned when it comes to gateway status. A lot of young people start with one or the other, and they go from there. You can also go back down from the others too. You know, in the right circumstance, weed's pretty good for people with heroin problems or whatever.
Any state that has legalized it recreational, from the time they've legalized it to now, as a state, they've crumbled.
I wouldn't say it's because of the weed. I'd say it's because of the leftists.
You know what?
I'd say it's the leftists themselves.
And the weed. A perfect example. I lived in Colorado Springs. And this is before they legalized weed. Once they legalized weed in Colorado Springs, all the people from around the country came and were living in the woods and the park. In Denver, there's homeless everywhere now, and they're coming from out of state, and they get their check once a month. They get their weed, and especially during the summer, and they live in the mountains and stuff with their sleeping bags.
There's some truth to that. The policy there, I would say, is way messed up. It's messed up out here too. They hand out welfare and EBT benefits to addicts, and they know dang well that the moment that their EBT card is filled for the month, they're trading it away for dope rather than feeding children with it or feeding their homeless self. And so, there's a little bit of truth to that. At the same time, obviously prohibition was a big mistake with it. But, one thing that does irritate me, Lee, is that with friends of mine, even in the weed business, they front like it doesn't qualify as a drug or anything like the rest. Now, it's
Okay,
not
I want to play
as
this.
the rest,
Hold
but
on,
it's still in a category.
Jeff Blowman Lowman, Gene's a massive rat. What do you mean by massive? Okay, all these guys that gave up evidence. Okay, you could say what you want about Gene, but he never sat on a witness stand testifying. So what do you consider a rat? Yes, he did give evidence. There's no doubt he gave evidence. He admits he gave evidence. But massive is kind of a big word when you consider rats. Now, if you want to say Sammy Gavano, if you want to say Joe Messino, sure, those guys are massive rats. And do you know the reason why he ratted? Okay, let me tell you the reason he ratted. He's sitting in prison. He's in prison for his 3rd year. And all of a sudden, everybody around him in that prison, they're leaving the prison. And so all of a sudden, he's looking at 50 to 100 years because these guys leaving the prison are ratting on him. And so what's his option? He's like, what the fuck? These guys are all ratting on me, and I'm going to sit here, and I'm going to take the fall. I'm going to be the guy that takes the fall. So before let's get some facts straight.
Well,
this is
that
why
guy there, Lee, that guy there obviously sort of, simps in a different direction. And, take a look at the guy that was at that wealthy, drug rehab. He was not in Rikers Island the way a guy like Gene was, or Hootie was at Rikers at one point. I was at a facility out here that was so old school that they didn't even have electronic locks in 1992. That guy who this dude simps for was in a program designed for the wealthiest people. I'm surprised that he didn't bust out a picture of him with a cigarette in a cigarette holder in a bathrobe. That's how easy that place appears to be. So your friend over there didn't rat because he didn't have to worry about it, or he did rat and they gave him this plush situation. So don't diss on any of us.
And I like to say another thing too. And I have people in here that are part of We Push Back. Okay. And I respect that, and I'm not going to knock it. Okay. But just because they have those feelings doesn't mean I have those feelings. And I don't have the same feelings they have. Okay. I think that a lot of people that talk shit about ratting would be the first people to rat when the cops put them down on a chair. Now, come on, guys. The other guy, you don't think that if the other guy talks about people's personal life, how quick would he rat?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. His behavior.
That's a
rat.
Right. He's already doing rat shit.
Yeah. Whenever you've been on, or I've been on, or anybody else on his show, one of the first areas he always goes to is, didn't you do this at one time and you never got caught? And didn't you do this, and this? That's a dry snitch move right there.
Yeah. See nothing, hear nothing. Lee Cole, the dude is buying subs, right? No, I don't know he's buying subs. And if you have evidence that he's buying subs, show the evidence. See, this is the problem. People don't have evidence and they make statements. My numbers have gone up drastically over the last month. I've been accused of buying subs, but you know what? I know I haven't. I know I haven't bought anything. So
now, for the record, Jeff did tell me once that if I sub to his channel, he would sub to mine, and that's a quid pro quo. So if you want to break his balls for that, that's how ridiculous it is. And by the way, measure popularity, Instagram. 3 weeks ago, the unnamed guy rolled onto my page here and said, hey, I'm going to pass you up on IG and show you what's up. 3 weeks later, his has gone up, so has mine. He still hasn't passed me. And on Instagram, you got to at least make a profile and put something up.
But I can be honest with you. I think I don't really like Instagram.
Well, whatever it is with that's the clown tried to challenge me to that,
No.
and he still hasn't hit it. So
No, the
that lets
clown.
us
No,
know.
no. Somebody else has the clown name. It's the other guy.
Sure, the other guy.
No,
If we look at it though, theoretically speaking, look, Hootie has 1,400 followers on IG, and his YouTube is like 3,500 now. You know, so and so claims to have 4,000. All these MobTube fans, a lot of them watch all of our shows, which means they're on IG. The same people subbing to me or following me there.
You want
should be
to hear
following
something?
him.
You want to hear something? Jennifer Aniston was never big on going. I was reading this story. It's kind of funny. Jennifer Aniston was never big on going on Instagram and did it for years. So when she's in her mid 40s, her agent says to her, "You should go on Instagram." She goes, "Why?" And then she says, she goes to bed that night and opens up an account. She wakes up the following morning. There's 40 million people on her account.
Right. Yeah.
Can you
Yeah,
imagine
exactly.
that? 40 million. Do you know how much money she could make right off that alone?
Yeah.
I mean, do you understand? People don't realize that you get paid for being on Instagram if you, right?
Yeah, you can. You can.
Yeah,
you
if
get
you
a blue check. You can have
Yeah.
some stuff there.
So
Plus
can
all the
you-
sponsors.
How much, like if you talk about the Kardashians and they got all these people, how much they could literally like retire and live off their Instagram?
Oh yeah, and they would
40
live the
million
same.
people.
Yeah, and they'd still have the same similar lifestyle with that money. We're talking hundreds of thousands a month probably just in residual. But then you get into the product stuff, Lee. Like, hey, I support this diet. Go to suchandsuch.com/Kim. I like this jewelry /Kim.
Yeah.
They get a piece of everything on that stuff. The affiliate marketing, it's called. They get all that stuff. They can change people's entire lives in terms of all the products that they, have going. So
Okay, it is proven when you have a guy sitting on a computer chair with 10,000 views on Peter Tuccio. You know what's funny? See nothing, hear nothing. This is the exact same thing the other guy said on his show last night. Exact to the same word. Kind of suspicious. Okay. Chicago Muscle will be watching you later in Angel Chat. You'll be making all kinds of stories. Okay. Does Angel have a show today? I'm not sure. Okay. Chicago Muscle, a guy who lives off his wife and does a show in her basement of her shack house. God, you guys are brutal, man. First of all,
Yeah.
who knows it's a shack house? Nobody knows. I don't know. So I'm not going to get into that. Okay. Chicago Muscle likely wears weightlifting gloves. Okay, here we go. Chicago Muscle, what's up with you, man? People are going at you today. Okay. Chicago Muscle, there we go. It was a mistake that he owned up and apologized for. You see that this side is the right. We do not block and censor like the other guy. I've been blocked for over months. Yes, and that's what happens. We're
These
not going to
people, yep, they get
We're not-
triggered
yeah.
easily. They really do, and they block people that they think are friends with all of us, and then they can't keep our names out their mouths for more than 2 shows.
And Mafia Scope, Lee and the mods never block people. He is fair with it. Yeah, you know what? I was guilty of blocking people at one time, but those were the hardcore other guy simps and Tony simps. And the Tony simps are semi-retarded. Because if you're going to sit there and you're going to watch Tony for an hour and be in his chat room and say, "Oh, you're great," while Tony's telling his mods to go fuck themselves, then you have a mental issue. And I shouldn't even use the word retard for them because they're not retarded. They're just mentally, just to be in Tony's chat room.
They're warped people.
Yeah, it's like, what does he present to you when you're watching his show that makes it worth being in his show?
Yeah. The City of Trees asked if I'm from Sacramento. No, I'm from Fresno. I lived in Yuba, though, Yuba City, north of Sac, for a while. But
okay, John Gotti might have been the dumbest guy. We don't know that, turd bird. Let me tell you something. One thing,
there's a lot more dumb people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
A lot of these guys, they're not rocket scientists. Okay, a lot of them,
they're
the
gangsters. Most of them are uneducated. They're 10th grade dropouts. Sammy Gravano
Yeah.
speaks about it. They're
a
10th
lot of them, they're not
yeah.
very worldly either. They're very parochial. A lot of them never even left the
They never leave their
borough
neighborhood.
from.
They don't-
Even
yeah.
like Lee, when I talk to some of these guys who were around, and I'm talking about moving weed between states and other stuff, they can't even relate to it because everything they did was on their block. It is what it is. But yeah, I disagree with that. Gotti isn't even close to being in that category. He was smarter, but he had an attitude, in my view, and he should have caught wind that after a few trials of not guilties, step away.
And let me put it this way: if he was the boss of the family, that means he was a lot smarter than a bunch of other guys.
Absolutely.
So you could say
he allowed the hoopla and the words around him from the media and others to get to him, I think, and he thought he was bulletproof.
And here's the challenge: would you go up to John Gotti if he was alive and call him stupid?
No.
Okay. It's Gotti's fault he died like a dog. He could have asked for help. It's not someone to ask for. Yeah, listen. He died like a dog, but but you know what it is? And John Gotti said this: when you're a gangster, you know that most likely 90% of the time your ending is going to come by a bullet or prison. That's going to be your ending. Very rarely does a gangster die out in the streets. A real gangster.
His whole one of his wiretaps where they picked him up saying that he would be in Marion one day. He said it on his own, whether it's now or 100 years from now when I'm in Marion dying. He said that, and the FBI recorded it.
Hey, I'm doing a show.
So,
you're more than
John
welcome to jump on my
Gotti
show.
Sr. isn't even close to being in
I
that category.
Okay, man. You got it.
BK,
okay,
there's some truth to what you're saying there. That he's entertaining. I give him that. That's definitely true.
Who's that?
The guy, the Oscar the Grouch, the guy who does his stuff from his trash can is who's been suspended for a week. That guy.
But there's a lot of Gotti stuff in here today. The Gottis are not part of mob history. John Gotti, Papa God Jr., but that's all. Yeah, well, you know what? John Gotti Sr. is a huge part of mob history.
Yeah, I was going to say, you started off with an extremely absurd premise, bro. Very absurd. Now, I agree with you the last part where I don't believe that she is someone that...
Don't bring that up. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, well, she has a great angle. She has a great family angle. She's not a gangster from the street, though, like this guy's talking about. Duh. We all know this.
Okay, if no charges are filed, but a made man tries to get his enemies off the street, is that snitching? Without a doubt. Okay.
Well, yeah. Exactly. That it's self-evident, bro.
Yeah, I have to say that when you have JC on, you guys have always had good chemistry. Yeah, he's like he feels like one of my ex-wives.
I was gonna say I'm more like his nephew, but okay. Man, I can't even get to nephew status yet, Lee.
Yeah, you know something? He has been talking about defund the police, but see, that's it. The other guy, if you're a liberal and an atheist, that's the place to be. If you're a Trump person and if you're watching that show, you are not a Trump person. That's what it comes down to.
That whole premise.
No Trump person would be watching that show, and none. If
that whole premise is absurd. I always ask these people, do you want the cops that are looking for missing children defunded? Do you want the cops looking for sex offenders and chomos? Do you want them defunded?
And
no.
Yeah, and that is the most race. And who does defunding the police affect the most? The minority neighborhoods.
Sure, exactly.
And that's what we're doing.
I grew up in a predominantly Hispanic area, and I was involved with all this, and I'm one of the first ones to say that effective policing, aka what Pete Wilson did in California, Rudy Giuliani in New York did, worked. It worked, whether they like to hear it or not. It did.
Grant, what's up with you and the Rangers? I'm kind of disappointed. The Rangers were playing great, and all of a sudden lately they kind of hit a lull. That's the Rangers every year. They'll have a hot streak and then they'll hit that lull. Boy, the Rangers haven't won they've won one Stanley Cup in 50 years with Messier. I mean, come on, it's a hockey team. How come New York basketball teams and hockey teams suck? I mean, when you're from New York, you're New York. You're supposed to have great teams. And it's the only team that's really been consistently great in New York has probably been the Yankees, and not lately. So,
well, yeah, true. The Giants and the Jets haven't done anything either for
it's pathetic. You got a big city, and Chicago, another city, they don't do shit. Look how the size of Chicago. Big cities like that, at least LA can put up some winners. The Dodgers are consistent. Now you got the Rams. I mean, and they've been consistent. They've been to a Super Bowl a couple years ago. At least LA's putting up some winners. New York and Chicago, they're pathetic, man.
Not doing too well. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Here another thing. Lee, Junior Gotti's trying to pin homicide on Dan Marino, the quarterback.
No, there was a guy around. Yeah. I laugh too when I see that name. Yeah.
Well, maybe he's doing that because Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl.
There you go. Dan Marino was hyped up. He couldn't beat the 49ers even that one year, 85, I want to say.
How about the year that John Riggins ran 40 yards with 2 Miami Dolphins on him?
Yeah, there
Remember
you
that
go.
Play?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They were playing Miami in the Super Bowl. John Riggins did a run up the middle. The Blackwell brothers, I remember them. And they were brothers, and they were safeties.
The Dolphins had a good team. They had Mark Duper and others, as their wide receivers for Moreno. But, then again, he had to take on Joe Montana and a lot of other.
Yeah, it's like Fran Tarkenton. It's the same thing. Minnesota Vikings was probably the greatest team to never win a Super Bowl. And they had a great quarterback. But who did Minnesota have to play in the Super Bowl? The Steelers and the Raiders.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean... So, and that's, a matter of fact, the Steelers were like the greatest team probably ever, the greatest defense ever. I mean, their defense was phenomenal when defense meant something in football. It doesn't mean nothing anymore as much as it used to. And if you think it does, San Francisco just lost to the Rams, and San Francisco probably had the best defense in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. Garoppolo, he needed to produce some offense. You can't just have a defense stopping the other team.
Okay, I'm going to answer this question. I'm not sure. I heard no. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not sure. See, Chicago Lee, let's say you want the other guy will block you just for watching the show he doesn't like. It is. He does. He'll say that too. Oh, you're on that channel. I'll block you. Stupid.
Yeah.
They have a personality conflict, but the other guy hates this country, wants to defund the police, not believe in God, and not work a job. A hardworking 50-year-old man. I cannot support that. And last night on his show, he was claiming that I never worked because I was wanted by the law. Okay, I still worked 60-hour shifts when I was wanted by the law. And back when I did it, you could fake your social security number. You can't do that no more. But yes, I did. I take pride in always being a working man, always. And any type of social security I get is because I put 20 years of work history in. You don't get it without work history.
Yeah.
I get a pretty decent amount because of my work history. 20 years of work.
You know what? And speaking of that, I'm glad that I had Marcelo, a Mexican guy, as a mentor before anybody else, because he wanted all of us to maintain work. If for no other reason, you better have some legit income to, for the tax man and others, so that you're not driving in a car that you're not supposed to be able to afford and things like that. I was always told, you got to work along with it, and you don't just sit. And even if you make a fortune, you still work, because there's a positive thing, a mental aspect of work too, that no paycheck, can really do for you. The
And
concept
yeah,
itself.
see here, see nothing, hear nothing. Armchair MBA threatened to press. Let me tell you something. The stuff that Armchair MBA went through with that piece of garbage, when he talked about his unborn baby, his
Yes.
wife, horrible stuff about my brother. That man is a piece of shit. That man is an absolute. I can honestly say, if I ever met him, I would smack him like a bitch. And there was nothing he could do about it, because he is all talk. That's it. The guy's probably never had a fight in his life. And he just walks around saying horrible stuff about people. To him, he's on a platform that makes him a tough guy, like the other guy. Tough guys. But these are the same guys that would never say nothing to somebody's face. Okay, let's see.
And when anybody does say anything, what's the first thing he says? Oh, you're attacking the homeless. You're attacking the poor homeless guy. Now, come on.
New beginnings for unemployed mob tubes. Other guy. Majorly awesome. I have to check the computer when I get home. I'm at work RN, so I will check this evening, and wrote down an account you want me to check. Okay, well.
Yeah, the harvester. So,
yeah.
Hey, Callie G's just texted me. He said, tell Lee. I said, what's up? And, he's on Team Lee with, one of the first guys that FBS, or pardon me, the other guy blocked out.
Well, can you text back, Callie, that I still respect him despite those bathhouses in San Francisco?
Hey, you know what? Callie said he's watching, so he doesn't have a YouTube account right now. Callie, you heard him, and that lets you know how much of a renaissance man and how progressive Lee is these days. So there you go.
Yeah, come on. Why did you go those bathhouse? But those bathhouses are. You see, society doesn't want to say it, but those bathhouses really spread AIDS. I mean, they were in these big cities. All the big cities had these bathhouses, and these guys were having unprotected sex in these bathhouses, and AIDS just exploded everywhere. And that's why they shut them down. It was because of AIDS. That's literally why all these bathhouses got shut down. They used to literally have bathhouses with pools where men can go there and meet other men. And they had them in New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Dallas. It's not like, no, I haven't been to any of them, but I knew,
real touchy subject. Got to be careful with where you place your hands in your mouth with that subject.
But remember, though, the gay movie stars used to go to these bathhouses, like Rock Hudson and stuff. I mean, Callie, okay, people, let's see. Oh, he said that, I love your show, bro. He says, you love those bathhouses just as much as I do. Okay. Well,
there you go. Maybe that's how. Maybe that's why you guys have such a conflict right now. The one of you is only one of you can be the king of the bathhouse. Okay, so talk it out.
I don't think this is. Hey, can people check to see if this is the real stats?
No, that ain't him, because the S in his is capitalized. I can tell already that's not him.
Oh, see, you messed up on that fake one, my man.
But okay. If it was, come on in, and I will treat that guy cordial, and he can talk with me and Lee about any of this. I'm not afraid of any of these guys. If they challenge to debate, challenge to discuss, they're always the ones who don't take it up, or they deliberately offer it at a time that they know that we couldn't be there. All right, it's 3 a.m. Come on, I'm dropping a link.
See nothing, hear nothing. Brooklyn guy is an actor with a Screen Actors Guild card and was begging John Panisi to be on his show. Panisi turned Brooklyn guy Vinny down, and now he is against lying informants. Now, once again, you made a statement before without evidence. Please present the evidence. Okay? I mean, how do you know this? Do you like live with Vinny? I mean, people
And you know what? If he has a Screen Actors Guild card, more power to him, because that's called legitimate income. It's a lot better than anything else he was doing before.
Okay. This might be him. I was going to come on and squash it with Lee, but I see JC punk ass.
That's not him, but you know what? That's somebody who knows how he's thinking right now. You know, oh, that guy. Look, I don't even really hate on him, really, because the guy's not somebody really at my level. He's where he got in the underworld versus now. He's more power to him. Just do your shows. If you're actually watching, just do your shows, bro.
Listen,
stop hollering at all us.
As long as he doesn't talk about me, I ain't talking about him.
Exactly. Just do your shows.
God bless him. I only wish him the best.
Yeah, I 2022 is a year of love for me. Okay, so I'm not gonna hate on the guy like that.
Turd Bird, you made a fool of yourself pretending to raise money for kids and then using it for heroin. Who?
He's talking about the guy.
Okay.
And if you notice, I'm not piling on, and neither is Lee.
Big L, weed is it is definitely medicine. Weed is. Did you notice when I said recreational weed? I believe in medicinal weed, but I don't believe in recreational weed. That's just how I feel. And I'll give you a perfect example. I had this girl working for me in Colorado Springs. Beautiful little girl, 18 years old. So she goes out into her car, and this is when weed was just legalized. I'm going to tell you a story about what happened in Colorado after weed became legalized. She's out in her car, not moving. She's behind the building of where I'm working, and she's smoking weed with 4 other friends in the car. But her car was turned on. Cop pulls up. She gets a DUI. Do you know what DUI? Do you know that when weed became legal in Colorado, DUIs
went up,
quadrupled?
No, yeah, and you know what? You're absolutely right, and that lets us know there's a downside to all that stuff. And the other thing too, I would say, is the enforcement of DUIs also went up, because before, you remember, during Prohibition, they would catch a guy with weed, and the weed charge was more severe than the DUI. So most cops didn't even waste time doing DUI stuff. They're like, you're under arrest, bro. You're going away for possession with intent, stuff like that. Now that it is legal, the good side of that is they're finally enforcing these laws that they weren't.
But now here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. I had a sheriff deputy tell me this. When he used to be able to pull people over that was smoking weed and let them go. If he pulls someone over now that weed is legal and lets him go, he'll lose his job.
Yeah,
they can make a decision. They used to be able in Colorado to give you a ticket if you were in the car. Now they arrest you.
Well, see, that's another downside, was that that during decriminalization, you could have up to an ounce, and most cops either cited you or disregarded it. Now they're like, hey, you can have it now, but guess what? Now we're going to enforce this rule.
And they
needed to enforce. They hadn't been enforcing these DUIs for years, and they got to do that.
No. Come on. That's not what they did. This was all scam. What they did is they're charging 18 and 19-year-old kids. They're destroying their lives by giving them DUIs because these kids think that it's okay to smoke weed. I know. Let me finish. Let me finish. So these kids think, and I had the deputy sheriff telling me this. These kids think because marijuana is legal, recreational wise, that they can smoke and drive. They don't realize they're not allowed to smoke and drive, but they think it's okay. And so most of these kids that get pulled over are innocently smoking weed in the car. And they wind up so these poor kids, 18 years old, you get hit with by the time it's $10,000 to pay for your DUI. It's on your record forever. And it stops you from joining the military, stops you from getting any good job. And
Well, that's a sign that these kids are extremely immature, and the media puts out this bullshit message that somehow it has no downside at all. That look, every weed guy I know, with the exception of a few, me included, they won't admit that there's a downside. On top of that, they go out of their way to be a defense lawyer for the drug. You don't see that. You don't see alcoholics doing that. You don't see crack addicts saying, well, there's a good side to smoking crack. You know, you don't really see that. But we guys,
let me say something.
They'll fight it out, man.
Big Al, I'm against legal weed. I'm for illegal weed. I'll be totally honest with you. I was a pothead until I was 50. You know, it's the legal version of weed, because what they're doing is the only reason they legalize weed is not for the people. If you think it's for the people, it's a joke. They did it to make money as a state. And do you realize the state of Colorado made more money collecting DUI fines than marijuana fine and than selling marijuana? When a state's making more money off DUIs because of marijuana, it's an issue. And nobody wants to talk about that DUI thing. Nobody. It's a big scam. Legal. I liked it when I was a kid. I used to drive into the Bronx, and I used to go to a place called the Hole in the Wall. And I would go into the Bronx, and my friends and I, we'd be working. I'd be 17 years old, and any type of weather, we'd go to a hole in the wall. They hand us a little nickel bag to the hole, and we left. And we had our weed. Now it's like,
and Lee, let's be honest, most pot smokers smoke pot sometimes in their cars, but at least beforehand, and then they hop in. Anyone who consistently smokes weed, it's like 90% of them end up driving within the first hour or two at some point. And, you know, then that's when it's most likely to cause intoxication, the first 2 hours. Now, there is a weed test coming up, by the way, for you people out there who think it's a free ride. There are the Highway Patrol here in Cali and some others are doing some groundbreaking stuff, and they're going to be able to have a test very soon for urine and all that. That's going to be able to tell how much you smoked, when, and how soon to driving. And as soon as it hits a point where they have enough data, the party is over. So you better recognize that they will be able to get very precise. In the past, those cases weren't that hard to beat. A good lawyer could say, well, you don't know when he smoked. It could have been this time. It could have been that those days are going to come to an end soon.
Let me ask you something, Jeff. Do you remember the first time? I remember the first time I was driving and I got high. Usually people remember the first time they're smoking weed and they get high. Because I was driving in the Bronx. And, you know, I don't know if you guys know the Bronx, but I was down near East Tremont. And I just remember getting high and just driving, and I'm driving around, and I had no one in the car with me. When you're high and you're driving with nobody in the car, it's worse, you know? And do you remember the first time you got high when you were driving, Jeff?
Yes and no. I actually tried to drive on magic mushrooms once, and that I remember because I was driving and I only went like 20 or 30 feet, and I thought I saw a telephone pole melting in front of my eyes. And then another telephone pole fell in front of my eyes. And I'm like, I tried a little bit more, and my friends were like, come on, none of us can drive. You're one of the better ones at driving, you know, after smoking and doing whatever. And I had to call it quits. I'm like, fuck this. I took the keys out the ignition. I'm like, I can't drive if I'm seeing telephone poles melting in front of me. But with marijuana, very similar. And guys will say, yeah, I drive better. You have a little bit different depth perception, but in a lot of other areas, you don't. And by the way, another point with weed related to all this is a lot of pot smokers will say that they do something better while on it. What's actually happening in most cases is it took more steps to do the same task as a sober person, and so they interpret that as having worked harder. Yeah, you. Well,
I remember when I used to get high and play stickball.
You know?
When I used to get high and play stickball, I hit a lot better. Big L says weed helps with Crohn's and anxiety and anger management. Big L, I'm 100% for medicinal weed, and I'm even for recreational weed if the laws were different. The things that bother me about recreational weed are the DUI laws. That's what bothers me more than anything, because these states are making a shitload of money off 18-year and 19-year-old kids and destroying their lives. That's why I'm against recreational weed. Most people don't even consider that, but I do, because I've seen it happen to young kids.
Yeah, and you know what? I agree somewhat there too. You know, in 2016, there was the ballot measure out here that passed. I was against the ballot measure because of some of what you're saying, but also the way it was written. It gave a virtual monopoly to one or two tech bozos here in California, the ones who actually financed it, the proposition. And even once it hit the ballot, the guy, his name is Sean Parker. He even went on the media and admitted, yeah, this is heavily skewed towards me and my friends. But the average voter just saw, oh, marijuana legalization. It's about time.
Yeah.
They didn't even read it. And now we have to fix a bad law. I'd rather have no legalization than a bad legalization.
And same thing with Colorado. And I'm talking about Colorado because when it became legal, I lived there. When weed first came into Colorado, it was the little guy that benefited from it. Then the corporations came in and,
yes.
and they're taking over, and they're getting all these warehouses, and all these little guys in Colorado are not getting the permits. They're giving them to the big corporations. So once again, the big corporations are taking over, and it's only a matter of time before they pass a law that banks can start taking this money, because these corporations have this money. You know, and
yeah, you're absolutely right. And also they wrote the law so badly that cartels actually started setting up shop in Denver and Colorado Springs and places like that where they hadn't been before. And
Jeff, explain that, because people don't realize, since legalization of marijuana has begun, the illegal weed is busier than ever.
Well, yeah, they can blend it in. It's not that difficult. You know, here in California, a legit pot farm is now put on a GPS, so that when the DEA and it's called Campaign Against Marijuana Planting. It's a state federal task force that has been out here for years. When they fly over, they see a GPS coordinate and they know that's a legal farm. You know, everything around it, though, they take pictures and do whatever else and go from there. But they are able to blend it. And in Colorado, they've been blending it into warehouses. They'll get warehouses that some are legit for growing under the plant minimum or maximum, I should say, that's allowed for the grower. But then there's a lot that aren't blended in there. Plus, you have cartels that are just outright flouting the law itself. And if you'll notice, the tax revenue was not what they expected from it. And he's right, what Lee said. These politicians were banking on pot smokers to carry their budgets through to the future. And it's not materializing.
Anything that makes money, these scumbags sitting in Washington make more money off of it. And in the end, you know, I remember when it opened up in Colorado, anybody from Colorado remembers all these little stores that were selling it, they hit a boom. I mean, I remember right next to Colorado Springs, I can't think of the name of the little town, but it was legal, and medicinal was legal next to this little town, but it wasn't legal in Colorado Springs. So you had to drive into this little town. But, you know, the funny thing is they had no place to send the money. So the place that I used to go was called Maggie's. And they had two retired Navy SEALs that worked the doors because there was so much money and they didn't know where to put this money.
Oh, yeah.
Cash. I mean, millions of dollars of cash in the basement here. And, you know, literally to this day, they still don't know.
That's how one of my friends' operation, he doesn't have it anymore, but he had set up shop in the mid 2000s, and they had to they set up in a cowboy area of California. So they were able to get some of those cowboy guys who shoot guns like crazy, you know, to help guard it. But yeah, they couldn't put any of the money in the bank. They had to find ways to get rid of the cash, which means front businesses, which means illegal, right? If you're setting up a front business,
is that still JC, is that still a problem with these small places getting the cash, they still have no place to put it.
Well, yeah, the federal law does not the banking industry is instructed by the federal law not to accept any of that cash, and that means even basic tellers are trained to spot drug transactions and suspicious stuff. And often than not, they go crazy with that. But for now, a lot of the banks are like, we're not touching it, so it has to go through private equity firms.
So that's what they're doing right now. They're putting them through private equity firms.
Yeah. Private firms, and then it's blended into larger scale stuff.
Buying property.
Lee, these politicians promised all this stuff, and they wrote these bad laws that changed the game, but they made it different in a bad way. And one of the things I was completely against, and I was an activist, mind you. Okay, so I was on the ground floor of medical marijuana legalization. I was against any corporatization of the marijuana world, because we don't want to see a world where there's a Joe Camel of marijuana, or a Marlboro Man of marijuana, or any of the beer company advertisements of marijuana. If it would have stayed with the little guy, meaning the real growers who really appreciated it, it would have been there would have been a lot of microbrew equivalents of marijuana, meaning local businessmen who have a local vested interest, meaning they will gladly pay the tax, a lot more willing, because they know the community is benefiting than it gets from corporate people or whatever else. Bad move, and it's going in the wrong direction.
Hey, Big L, instead of saying she doesn't have 40 million followers, give me the numbers she has. Okay, I was kind of when I said 40 million, just give me numbers. At 38 million? Okay. Okay. Because you need to know, little pole smoker isn't working and causing trouble on Lee's Lies. Pole smokers in here? Who's pole smoker? Let me ask you a question. See nothing, hear nothing. Who the hell are you? I mean, you're so negative. I'm almost at the point where you're going to be leaving. You have anything positive to say? You're attacking Jeff Nadeau in here. You're attacking people. You're attacking Vinny. I mean, so what's your game?
It's got to be. I think it's one of the mods. I won't say who, but these guys give away their stuff so easy. They're just angry haters, whatever.
Yeah, Tony today was talking once again about 9/11, but Tony's a dumpster himself.
Well, yeah, Chicago, you completely mischaracterized what he did. He wasn't questioning the event or any of that stuff. He was disrespecting the victims of it.
He was talking about
what you think happened, those people were murdered.
Yeah, he was talking about, he was mad because he couldn't get his clothes, and he was knocking the victims that got killed for it.
Yeah, he was saying that these were a bunch of people who cheat on their wives and husbands, that they're immoral. He basically slandered them to the point where, if you didn't know any better, you're like, wow, he really is glad it happened.
Impeach Creepy China Joe. Let me tell you this much. I haven't been okay with Tony in about 2 months. Okay. And I tried to reach out to Tony. And what Tony would do after he came on my show, he would start talking about me on his show. I would call him up and I would ask him, Tony, why are you doing that? And he'll go, Lee, I'm just doing it to get views and stuff. And then I kept accepting it. And then it got out of hand, and that's when it ended. So impeach Creepy Joe and act like a real Trump person instead of being the way you are. Because
you know what? Impeach Creepy Joe. I was blocked by him like 4 months ago. I was one of the first people he blocked after, I asked him a simple question. He didn't like the question, and he blocked me. And I still gave him a chance. I was like, okay, maybe he had a rough life, whatever. And I'm like, let's just be cordial. He can't even maintain a simple level of that stuff. And so, cool by whatever. No, the guy talks about me 10 times more often than I ever refer to him. So, and I don't really care about him anyways. He doesn't bother me personally. He's just an angry guy. It is what it is.
Shane McBride, I have talked about my own story. But because of a shitbag on here, I kind of stay away from it. And when that shitbag's gone, I will talk about my own story more. And he'll
You
be
know,
gone soon
Impeach,
enough.
one other quick thing, Impeach. He calls himself someone from the right, but yet one of the
No,
first
he's
things he
not.
does, well, yeah, one of the first
He
things he
attacks
does
Trump people.
is
He ain't
he
nobody.
does victim talk. Whenever
Yeah.
something doesn't go his way, he'll even do what the BLM people do. He will throw his race in.
No,
Say
no,
it's
no, no.
because I'm
Don't
white.
use the initials.
Right. Yeah, I'm not gonna diss. I'm not dissing nobody.
Okay.
But that's what he does. He says this bad stuff is happening because of race or whatever. It's like, no, your laziness has nothing to do with everybody else. Your laziness is you.
And this
And
is
that's what
also true.
that's what these far leftists do. They
And
blame
also-
race or whatever else.
And yes, he was an atheist, if I'm correct, John Gotti. Not sure. I might be wrong. Maybe he found God before he died, so I can't answer that question. Rangers, Grant, you with the Rangers? Are you sitting with a Ranger thing on right now at the game?
Grant, are you dating a good-looking gal who happens to be a Rangers fan?
A bunch of snowflake baited males on the other guy's channel. Carlos, the crackhead, and the pink veal. First of all, why would you let your other partner be on there and let somebody with that disgusting name, Pink Veal, be on your channel? You know what they're talking about. It's just
Especially a
nasty,
guy who looks like that. He does not look like the kind of guy
that gets any
women
pink
are
veal.
attracted
Yes.
to. Okay, he's not pounding anything except cheeseburgers. All right.
Oh, wait. This guy is Scottish and is talking about soccer and not the New York Rangers League. Thanks, Darren. Okay.
Thanks, Darren.
I feel stupid. Thank you. I love being corrected like that. Okay, let's go Rangers. Okay, that's my new favorite soccer team.
There it is.
So who do you like in the Super Bowl?
I'm a Niners fan, but I really don't hate the Rams like that because they left California for years and they're just barely back. So I'm going to say I believe the Rams will win, but I hope the Bengals win. But I don't. I think the Rams will win.
No. Who's going to win?
The Rams.
Okay. I'd like to see Stafford win it because he was on such an awful team for so many years, and he's really proven what a great quarterback he is.
Yeah, he's good, and they
You
they pulled off some miracles, So more power to them.
Yeah, I just hope. Hey, the championship games this year were the best championship games. The semifinals were. I mean, the last 6 games were phenomenal games.
One of the reasons why I'm not upset that the Niners lost is because, quite frankly, I didn't expect them to go as far as they did. So I thought they would lose before that. So
huge John Regans fan, number 44, John Regans. He was a phenomenal running back.
Yeah, I liked him too.
But that guy could barely walk now because he was a beast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You ever notice that most of those guys that were those pounding running backs like Earl Campbell and I mean, they had after they turned 40, their bodies just broke down. They were in wheelchairs and
guys, absolutely.
Calvin Hill.
Yeah, it's already, wear and tear, but they get way more wear and tear getting smacked around week after week. And then they practice, it is.
Don Vito says the Scottish League is a Mickey Mouse league. A pub team could win in that league. So Don Vito, if you're talking about the Italians, but you know what? But the reality is, who really is the best team in soccer over the last 25 years? You would have to say Germany. So maybe it's a German game.
Yeah, maybe a Spain or Portugal game, perhaps. I played soccer in high school myself.
This is an interesting thing. The Yankees never won a World Series with a Republican in office. Okay, so you're saying that the Yankees never won when Eisenhower was in office.
Oh, gotcha.
I believe that Eisenhower was in the office in the 50s. And
Yeah,
the Yankees won a few.
1950 to what? 52 to 60.
Yeah, 52 to 60. So I think that might go kind of out the window. And also, who was the president in 77?
Carter.
Was it Carter? Yeah, it was Carter. It wasn't Ford yet. It was Carter.
Yeah, Ford was Ford
Yeah,
left in
77 and
76,
99.
right?
77
He
and
left
79.
January of 77, technically. So yeah.
And they won a bunch of World Series when Clinton was in office. That I do know. You're right. I think recently, but then in the 20s, Herbert Hoover was in office. And the Yankees' greatest team was in 27, and Herbert Hoover was the president.
Yeah, Babe Ruth was friends with Hoover, I thought.
Yeah. So the best team the Yankees ever had, they say, was the 27 Yankees, and Herbert Hoover, Neil, was in office. So I hate to tell you this, but you're wrong. But it's good. It's good to put it up there.
One of those factoids that will probably never be useful in life, but hey.
Damn, Lee, by the way, you're behind in the chat. At this time, the message will be here by 20. So right now, and here's the thing. This message is at 1:34, so I'm still a half hour behind. Here's something that's weird. I got 118 people in here, and I cannot catch up on the chat. But I see chat rooms that have 200 people in, and they have no trouble keeping up on the chat.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, well, it just shows you have you don't have these bots. You have actual participants in your live stream.
Oh, people love the talking to chats when I come on, and actually that's one of the reasons I like 120 in right now, because I had 120, 130 yesterday. That video still hit 2,000, and I've been on for 2 hours now, and we'll hit 2,000 on this.
You look at your show with Hootie, that's going through the roof. Anytime that you're talking about, Gene's old stories, those go through the roof.
You know which one goes through the roof, though? You know who the king is? Sammy Gravano. When I mentioned about him being sick, that just hit 10,000. 10,000.
Yeah.
I mean, those numbers are...
And if you'll recall, when I was on the other guy's show a few weeks ago, I made up the point, he was talking about popularity, and I said, aside from IG, what happens when you go do interviews elsewhere? Well, he didn't have much to say because his interviews on other platforms don't do so well. My most recent one, is barely a week old, and it's got like 3,000 views. Whenever Hootie's on your show, you get these, you're up to like 4,000 or 5,000. When you're interviewed on other places, when you've done them, like on Tom's show, you were on Armchair. That interview was done very well, Lee. So that lets us know.
Impeach Creechy. Okay, millions of states are making off legalized weed. They have a breath one already. The cops do. You kind of impeach Creepy Joe. You kind of like have that thing, but you got to be better. You got to remember, the most of the people here are Trump people. I have no problem with some Biden people in there. If you don't know any better, you could be a Biden person.
By the way, with the weed thing, we can thank former President Trump for the big levels of progress, because if you'll recall, and the videos are still up, they censor him, but they didn't censor the marijuana comments. 2016, he was asked in the campaign during a Republican primary, mind you, which is the more moral voters, if you will. He said that prohibition was bad. It should be left up to the states and they can, and communities, to enforce those laws. Without him being bold enough to do that, in front of a right-wing Republican audience, I guarantee you these people would not have been so bold moving forward. So thank President Trump if you guys smoke pot.
And this is Shane makes a great point here. I know one damn thing. Since legalization, the potency had gone through the roof. Let me tell you something. When I used to do those pot runs to the hole in the wall in the Bronx, when you got a nickel bag, you never knew how good it was going to be. You know, when I used to buy my weed in Pueblo, Colorado, I'd walk in and they would have bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. That was how the levels they put them on. But then I said, one time I got the platinum, I said, fuck this, I ain't getting that again. And then I got the bronze, and the bronze was like, wow. And I'm like, what's the difference between the bronze and the platinum? But Shane, you're right. The level of weed now is incredible. It's like, and it's getting better and better. I mean, 2 puffs and you're done. And I remember when I was young, me and my friends, we'd smoke bongs, and it would take us a while to get smashed. Not anymore.
That's sort of an up and a downside. The upside is if you're concerned about lung cancer, smoking high potency is better because you inhale fewer amounts. But on the bad side, people start to get used to the high grade stuff, and then it's not working the way it used to. And then they want to do more.
Canada legalized weed when we heard that there were G&A and C that many tax reliefs, but it's been over 3 years and haven't seen shit. Yes. Canada is the most full of shit country in the world. I'm sorry. If you're Canadian, be mad at me. But Canada, what they do to the people up there tax-wise, we're becoming like Canada.
Yeah, and he's right. That's the same point that I made an hour ago about Colorado and elsewhere. These tax revenues have not materialized the way they thought. And you know what? I'm friends with the Prince of Pot, Mark Emery from British Columbia. They don't consult him for the business because, one, he's a felon. He had to serve DEA time. 2, he does not support corporatization of the business, which governments are now against. They want that stuff. 3, he has an expertise level that the government does not want to see happen in that kind of a direction. And so
then on top of that,
most qualified can't do it.
And then on top of that, your prime minister up there, Trudeau, had absolutely no reason to be reelected.
Yeah,
and
Trudeau
he was reelected. I mean, he makes Joe Biden look like a genius. I mean, this guy's
what's amazing about? There's a lot of things with Trudeau, but one of them, he did the whole blackface thing. If a right-wing politician from Canada like Stephen Harper, for instance, did that, he would be out of. He might even get killed in today's Canada. That's how much they hate it. They have anti-racism, quote unquote, crews in the government that patrol that stuff. Why hasn't Trudeau been facing anything? Oh, because it's fine and dandy or semi-acceptable when white leftists do this stuff.
Okay. Harvest Cesaro, you are at a coal mole. What do you mean coal mole? Coal mole jail. You can cash app me later. Why you? She deserves it. That's why. It's recently put out a statement saying people have to claim profits from drug and stolen goods on taxes.
Yeah, he's right. That's how. Let's see that one. Sure.
Tommy Guns. Why does that sound familiar?
Lefty. That's why.
Lefty. Oh, Lefty's all fucked up. Poor Lefty, man.
Yeah.
Oof, I feel bad for him because it's obvious he's back.
You know what FBS did, or sorry, the other guy did to him last night, right when that guy announced he was doing a live, okay? And what happens? And the other guy hop on and does a second show and squashes his friend's show. The guy lost. I was watching the chat for a minute. The people in the chat were saying we're leaving to go to, so-and-so just did a live all of a sudden. So if you're watching, Lefty, you know it, and I know it. Your so-called friend walked all over you and dissed you yesterday in a way that only he can. So get help, bro.
Matt says, Lee, it's funny watching you guys sitting up all rugged up and cold while I'm here in shorts, no shirts, and going to be heading down to Bondi Beach when you finish for a swim and a perv. Hey, Matt. Is it that nice out there where you are?
Yeah, Matt. And by the way, it's like 60 degrees and sunny in my area. So I'm just wearing one sweat, zip up. So, I'm not shivering.
Okay, let's see. I'm getting ready to go off shortly. It's 2:14. See, nothing here,
Woo, we're
nothing, no
kicking butt, Lee. These people are staying with us too, man. See that?
2760. That's 30% of YouTube took out. Yeah. Yeah, YouTube. Listen, I'm sorry. I believe that YouTube's entitled to that money. If you build up a show, they deserve it because you're using their platform. People may not like to hear that, but the fact of the matter is that they're letting us use their platform. And that's why they're phasing out and they're going to start going at the Cash App because Google wants more money. But I don't agree with Google on most things, but them taking out money for their product, I can understand that. It's capitalism.
Yeah, and you know what? There's a place called Entropy that does super chats on these, and they charge half of what YouTube does. I think it's 15% with them, and you can do it on a YouTube show. So that's the free market. If people don't like the price that YouTube charges, you can have a different company do your super chats.
And Grant, you're absolutely right. Soccer in your countries and Europe and Eastern Europe and Russia is phenomenal. I mean, that's what people love. But, unfortunately, we got baseball, and so you guys don't. So, ha. It's harder to hit a fastball than it is to kick a soccer ball, Grant. You may not want to hear that.
Cricket, they've got these sports that are like just one off from ours. Instead of baseball, they got cricket, right?
And cricket looks like something you play like if I don't know. It's just a weird looking game, hitting the ball on the ground, and why not just? What's more exciting than a 400-foot home run? A guy just hitting to me, the hardest thing to do in any sport is to hit a 100-mile-an-hour moving fastball.
Yeah, fastball from like a real closer,
Yeah, I mean, what's harder than that in sports? I mean, catching a football, shooting a basketball, sure, they're hard to do, but people can do it. But you realize there's no guarantee if you're a first-round pick of making it to baseball. But if you're a first-round pick in football and basketball, the odds are you're going to get to the pro leagues, but not.
Yeah, exactly. Derek and David Carr went to the same college I did, and Trent Dilfer as well. There was it was a given if you could quarterback at my college or play wide receiver, running back, a few other spots, it's a given. You're going into the NFL. Same thing when they play for big schools like Florida State or, there's a whole host of schools that produce
Don Vito, yes, Italy is the champion of Europe. But Germany's been a champion of Europe for a lot longer over the last 25 years than Italy. That's what I'm trying to say. I know Italy's the champion. And I believe, didn't they win the last World Cup? But usually it's Germany. I know you may not want to hear that, but listen, Italy is probably the second greatest soccer team of all time. How's that? I think when you're talking about soccer, I'm not a big soccer fan, but I always remember the great teams were Brazil, Argentina, Germany, and Italy, and sometimes France or Cinderella or England. But in general, those were the best teams.
Yeah, it's definitely, especially Brazil, having Pele and guys like that back in the day. That guy was so good, they made video games after him. Even Atari back in the day had a Pele soccer game.
And Pele was the one that brought soccer to the United States. He's the one that really made us understand soccer. Lee, get Sammy on for an interview. It would be huge, buddy. We're working on some things that you're going to be very surprised about. People, okay, I'm going to have to say goodbye to you, JC, but thank you so much for coming on, my brother.
Hey, thanks, Lee, and shout out to the audience and sub to my channel, sub to our other friends' channel, and we're killing it. We had a great live stream here.
And we talked a lot about weed today. I appreciate you bringing your expertise on weed today, and thank you.
You know what? Speaking of which, I know you've been hit up, so have I. We'll have a part 2 to that Murder Mountain. By the way, another thing, Lee, with them, a group of cops were arrested a month ago in Murder Mountain for corruption.
Oh,
That'd be a good story to cover. So
yeah.
maybe we'll go through that and let these folks know what's happening. All right.
you
Hey,
take-
have a blessed day. Okay, Lee?
Yep, you take care, JC. Thank you for helping me out. Okay, people. Well, that was fun today, and I appreciate 2 days in a row it shows over 2 hours. Don't ask me why I decided. I've been staying away from lives, and now during the day I've been doing them. I'll be honest with you. I prefer doing lives around noon over doing them later in the day. It just seems it gives people something to do in the middle of the day. If you got some time, you can come do a live and hang out. Some people here are from other countries and their time is much different than here. And then you have people here that work at night. Or you have people like Sean that was off 2 days in a row. But you're going to see me doing more of this during the day. I'm not going to be doing these at night. I have no desire to do these at night. I like to watch TV. I like to watch sports. On weekends, I love to watch sports. I have no desire. I like my football. Baseball season's about to begin. I'm a huge fantasy sport guy. Listen, I'm going to put my email down here. And if anybody, I got some fantasy baseball leagues coming up that I've been the commissioner of for several years. If anybody's interested in joining my fantasy baseball leagues, I'm going to put my email down here. It's leecole1010@gmail.com. Send me an email. Tell me that you're interested, and I'll send you a link to my league. And I got some different leagues. One's more difficult. It has minor league rosters also. That's for experts. And then we just got our regular leagues. They're not money leagues. They're free leagues. But one league is 20 years old, 22 years old. Okay. But I'm going to put my email down here. If you want to join some fantasy baseball leagues, let me know. Maybe we can even start one. If I get enough people from the chat room, maybe we could start one based on the chat room. We could start a league. But I just put it down here. I'm sure some of you guys in here play fantasy baseball. And I use the Yahoo format. So let me know, okay? Everybody take care. It's been great. And I'm looking forward to doing this shortly again. Bye.